So you're planning to retire around age 62, and you've got a major decision to make. Do you take Social Security at age 62, or do you delay it, let it grow, maybe take it at age 70 instead? And working with a lot of people just like you, I understand how you might feel right now. No paycheck coming in, no income coming in. It might feel really scary or really uncomfortable because it's a lifetime decision. And so today we're going to walk you through a sample case in regards to that decision. We're going to talk about 3 factors that you want to consider that could make the difference between hundreds or thousands of dollars. First off, let's just talk about this sample hypothetical case that we're going to walk you through today, showing you all the different projections in regards to Social Security in this scenario. So Jim plans to retire, as I mentioned, at age 62. If you take a look here, he is age 62. So he's retiring. Just to show you a little bit of behind the scenes in regards to the projection, because it does come into play and you'll see how that fits in. Jim has saved up about $1.5 million, all in his IRAs, 401ks, meaning that money is all in the tax deferred column there, meaning he will have to pay income tax on all of those dollars that he takes out. Now, from a projection standpoint, just so you know, we've got about 70% of this in equities, 30% of it in fixed income. Now, Jim also has a residence, about $550,000 there, and he's got the mortgage paid off, so there's no mortgage in the overall expenses. And so total net worth, just over $2 million. But when it comes to money that he'll have to be able to help pay for those expenses, he doesn't plan to move anytime soon. So really he's got about $1.5 million in investable assets to be able to utilize for income to help supplement his Social Security decision. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about Jim's retirement story. Now, Jim, as I had mentioned, retired, age 62, going right into retirement. Something that we need to understand in regards to retirement story, especially when it comes to Social Security, is the planning horizon. So we're putting in age 95. People are living a lot longer. In Jim's case, there's a lot of longevity in his family. So he said, hey, we need to plan for this. We got to make sure that your plan lasts as long as you do. And you'll see how that comes into play in regards to these Social Security decisions. And we'll talk about some alternatives as well. And then some things Jim, said, hey, I live what I'll call is just a basic lifestyle. I want to maintain and be comfortable in retirement. So to maintain my lifestyle, I need about $5,600 a month. Don't forget, I am retiring early. And so what we had told Jim is because you're retiring early, don't forget you have to factor in some increased health insurance costs. And so health insurance, we've got about $12,000 a year from when he retired here at age 62 through age 65. At that point, that's when he'll switch over to Medicare and either a Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage. And then also part of his retirement story is that I love to do some different activities throughout the day, and I want to do some travel each and every year. Can we put about $7,500 a year aside for that? And I think, I'd really like to front load my plan. So let's do that early on. But come age 75, I'm not sure if I'm going to, plan to do those activities anymore. So we've got comfortable lifestyle, activities that we wanted to do, and we've got to throw in there some money for health insurance between 62 and 65 when Medicare comes in. Now, Jim's Social Security is primary insurance amount, which is the amount that you would get at your full retirement age, a very key amount as we talk about things today, specifically regarding Social Security. Everything is based on this amount. So Jim, since he was born after 1960, his full retirement age would be age 67. At that age, he would get the $2,900 a month. Now, everything in Social Security is based off of that age. Calculations, if you were to delay and get more, or if Jim was to take early, everything is based off that age. Let me show you here in a second. So current income, Jim's retired. He doesn't have a pension, doesn't have anything else coming in. His Social Security will be his primary insurance or income source, with the investments being that supplementary income source. The Social Security decisions that Jim needs to make is kind of falls within these ranges or somewhere in between them all. But Jim could take Social Security as early as age 62. If he were to do that, it is a 30% reduction on his Social Security, meaning he would get 70% of his benefit at full retirement age. So he can take it early. He can take it as early as age 62, meaning start it right now. If so, he'd get $2,030 a month because it's a 30% reduction. He can also take it anywhere between age 62 and age 67. If so, it's going to be a prorated amount based on when he decides to take it between those two ages. He can take it at any year or any month between those two ages. Now, maybe one of the things that you've heard to do is wait as long as possible to take Social Security. Why is that? Well, for every year that you delay taking Social Security, you get an 8% bump on that Social Security every year you delay taking it. And so how that plays in is if Jim were to say, well, wait a second, instead of taking it at full retirement age 67, I take it at age 70 instead. That's a 124% increase from if he were to take it at age 67. And you can see here that $2,900 instead becomes $3,596 a month. And so again, he can take it anywhere, any month, any year between age 67 and age 70, and it's going to be a prorated amount based on that 8% bump that he would get each and every year. Now, when you do decide to take it, that's a lifetime decision. Now, there are, yes, some go back to, we're not going to get into that today, where you'd have to actually pay it back, but it's more or less a lifetime decision. So when you take it, that's the amount that you're going to get for life. And the only thing that you would get on top of that amount is what's called cost of living adjustments, COLAs, or basically the inflation that the government gives you on your Social Security. And you'll see from our projection standpoint, I've put in a 2.5% COLA on Social Security. You might be like, wow, that seems kind of low in comparison to what we just got the last few years. However, we're going to go through periods of high inflation and periods of low inflation. And so this could be an average, but I'm going to show you how this really impacts your decision as well. So Jim then has a big decision to make, because if we go back up here, remember this, we have no income coming in. Jim has no income coming in, and he's saying, wait a second, I've got all of these new expenses coming in, but I don't have a paycheck. And what does that lead to? Sometimes that leads to being scared, uncomfortable, a little bit of fear, because Jim was a saver. He'd saved up $1.5 million. He's not used to being a spender. And so a lot of times what happens, people just make this decision to go, gosh, I don't want to touch that IRA 401k. I'm just going to go ahead and take Social Security. It's just going to help me feel comfortable having a little bit of income coming in. Well, that's what Jim decided to do. Was that the right decision? Let's take a look. So if we go over to Jim's forecast here, his projection. Now, maybe you've seen in our videos before, but if not, I'm just going to explain how to understand this really quick. All of the things that we just talked about is part of this projection. Jim retiring at age 62, Jim then needing those lifetime expenses, plus the travel expenses through age 75, plus the increased health insurance, and he's got all his money invested. So it's saying, okay, based on all of that, and the fact that he took Social Security at age 62, there's money that he's going to have to take out of his account. What does that do to the account value over time? And we've got the gray marks kind of on the top and the bottom. So it's saying, hey, if we've got good markets, we could potentially see the top of this overall chart. If we have poor markets, we could see the bottom of this overall chart, meaning Jim could run out of money somewhere around age 86. Now, we're not going to let Jim run out of money. We're going to have to make some adjustments before then, but that means that he's going to have to do what? Most likely, he's going to have to reduce his lifestyle, quit traveling, quit doing some of those things that were important to him. Or the middle line here is, out of all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of projections, it's saying, hey, here's kind of that middle grounds of all the different calculations of markets. So if we take a look here and go to the end, Jim just barely squeaks out, of taking Social Security at age 62 and having his money go to the end there. Again, poor economic times, poor markets, he would have ran out of money. Middle calculation says, okay, hey, maybe we've got somewhere around $250,000 left. So you might look at that and say, Jim made a great decision. But did he make a great decision? Was it the best decision? And to do that, we have to kind of look at Social Security and a Social Security summary. Now, if we take a look at the Social Security summary, meaning over Jim's lifetime, how much Social Security income would he have taken in? Now, Jim took it as early as possible. So over his lifetime, he would have taken in over $1.2 million of Social Security income. But was that the right decision? Did that give him the most money over his lifetime? Well, immediate reaction, you'd look at this chart and say, no, it wasn't the right decision, because you see, if Jim would have waited till age 70, he would have actually taken in 1.8 to 1.9 million. So he would have taken in about $600,000 to $700,000 more of lifetime income if he would have waited till age 70 to take Social Security. So did Jim make the right decision or the wrong decision? Well, this still doesn't tell us. And that's why we want to look at the three factors that impact your Social Security and talk about those. Now, before we get into those, I'm guessing that you're watching this video because Social Security is on your mind. In addition to the three factors that we're going to talk about today, there's additional factors that you might want to consider. And we've got a free guide that you can download to helping you understand Social Security benefits. And it might help you improve your lifetime benefits by hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can get it at lifemoneyshow.com/Social Security. Again, lifemoneyshow.com/Social Security. All right, so the first factor that Jim wants to consider is longevity. Now, when we looked at our view here, we were just looking at the summation of how much he would collect. Again, this is all based on Jim living till age 95. He said that there was a lot of longevity in his family. But let's just kind of look at things, because maybe health has changed, or maybe things change, or just in regards to your situation, it's helping you out understand, how does longevity actually factor in to your Social Security decision? So what we're looking at in the chart here is we've got two lines. We've got a light blue line that is saying, hey, if Jim were to take Social Security as early as possible, here's how much he would accumulate over his lifetime. And then we've got the darker blue line to saying, okay, now if Jim were to wait till age 70, here's how much that would accumulate over his lifetime, all based on living till age 95. But what if Jim didn't necessarily live to age 95? Would waiting until age 70 still be the best decision? Well, let's kind of start from the left here and work our way over in the chart. So, starting at age 62, if he did take it as early as possible, well, that year, that's his first year. He's going to have just over $22,000 of Social Security coming in. Now, if he was to say, well, I'm going to wait till age 70, he wouldn't have anything coming in. He'd have to go to his retirement portfolio to make that work. And I know what you're probably thinking. Wait a second. If he waits till age 70 and takes from his retirement, would that work? And I'm going to show you that in our second factor, factor number 2, just to let you know, yeah, it's going to work. And I feel like there's actually an improvement, but we'll show you that in factor number 2. So he's not taking anything if you were to do the delay till age 70, meaning he's taking all the money in that case from his retirement portfolio. So year by year, he accumulates more as he's taking it early. And that can make somebody taking it early feel very well. Then let's just say here, here we go. We get till age 70. Now, do you remember the amount at age 62 is right around $22,000. But see, by Jim delaying his Social Security all the way until age 70, now instead of $22,000 being his first year benefit, his first year benefit is $48,000. And then you'll see that second year benefit really jumped up even more, jumping up to probably $60,000 because of the first full year. It's just kind of how the program works here. And so now all of a sudden we've got the comparison going on. So right here, let's just say Jim were to pass away at age 74. Well, taking it as early as possible, he would have taken in a total of $366,000 of Social Security income. If he would have delayed and waited till age 70, he would have had $271,000 of Social Security income coming in. So at this point in his life, which would have been the better decision? Well, if he would have known that he was going to pass away at age 74, it would have made sense to take it as early as possible. But we see right here at age 78, next thing you know, the age 70 amount, the cumulative value there starts to surpass if Jim would have taken it as early as possible. And then the difference between those starts to grow and grow and grow. And so basically what this graph is telling us is that age 78 is kind of that break-even point for if Jim were to take it, meaning the break-even point, meaning where if Jim takes it at age 70 versus as early as possible, age 62, age 78 is that point where it's saying, hey, you're actually getting a bigger bang for your buck. Every year that you live past age 78, you're now accumulating more money from Social Security because you waited till age 70 to take it. Hopefully that makes sense. So age 78, every year that Jim lives after that, he'll actually have more money that he's getting from Social Security because he waited to take Social Security until age 70. However, if he were to pass away before then as you could see, it would have been in his better interest to take it as early as possible. So I bring all of this up because longevity is one of those factors that you have to consider. What is your family longevity? What does your health look like? What do you think your longevity is going to look like? Are there any health changes now as you've entered into your 60s and you're about to make this Social Security decision? So longevity is definitely one of the factors to consider, but not necessarily all of the factors that you want to consider. And so that's why we're going to talk about another couple factors as well. And before I get into factors 2 and 3, what I want to say is that if you are a couple watching this video, the decision becomes, I'll say, even much more impactful as a couple because of what we call survivor benefits. Now, we're not going to get into that in today's video. You're still going to see some great factors that will impact your Social Security, but we'll create another video in regards to that so you can understand the impact of survivor benefits on your overall Social Security. All right, with that, let's talk about factor number 2. So the second factor that Jim Sample wants to consider is how much has he saved? And let me just walk you through a really conceptual drawing on this. So Jim saved up $1.5 million into his retirement savings. Now we know in retirement, he's going to have to turn on the faucet to that retirement savings to take money out to maintain his lifestyle. His Social Security wasn't meant to make up all of his lifestyle income. We got $5,600 a month. $7,500 a year for travel, plus taxes, plus health insurance, plus inflation. So a few things here that Jim really wants to consider is how much he's saved up. Because think about this. If he takes Social Security too early and he's got a smaller amount of Social Security coming in, but he wants to maintain that lifestyle, what does that mean? That means he's got a bigger gap to fill. So if he takes it too early and the gap's too big, well, he might be putting too much pressure on that retirement savings and it might not last through his retirement. Whereas he waits to take it and delays taking it, now the gap through the majority of his retirement is a lot smaller. That can help his retirement savings last and sometimes can actually mean and help people increase their income. So let me just take and show you what that means using our retirement projection from earlier to help bring that conceptualization over to a projection for you. And so if we take a look at our projection, now this is where we were at before, him taking it at age 62. So now let's go in here and let's just say Jim decides to take it at age 70. And we hit refresh here. And now take a look at what happens to his overall projections. before we were showing, boy, if we had really bad market times, he'd maybe run out of money at age 66 or somewhere around there. Boy, it's kind of delayed that for a couple of years. Hopefully we don't have bad economic times. And then look kind of the middle of the road for all of those calculations. Somewhere before it was somewhere around 250,000. Now it's around 827,000. Again, projections. We don't know what's going to happen with the market, but what my goal here was to show you is that even though it's scary, and way back over here on the left-hand side, he'll be taking more money out of his investments, right? Because he's delaying Social Security until age 70. So you can kind of see a little decline in the investments, but then it gets right there. It holds steady longer. So it can feel scary, it can feel uncomfortable, but in Jim's case here, delaying till age 70 actually shows a benefit to him, taking the money from the investments first, giving him more kind of a potential safety net there, right? Later on in life. Or another way that you can look at it here is Jim now has that ability to actually increase his lifestyle, increase his income, if he so chooses. He could probably increase things by another $100, $200 a month and get to where he was at before. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of how what you've saved comes into play as well, because you take it too early. It's kind of like driving, it's like your gas tank. You've only got so much in it. And if you hammer the gas way too hard, meaning the consumption of what you're using as you're driving down the road is more than usual, you're going to run yourself out of gas faster. Versus if you're going with that average or a more efficient route or more efficient car. So anyways, hopefully that analogy helps a little bit, but you can see how what you've saved really factors in to the overall part as well. All right, before we get into the third factor, which is how cost of living adjustments can impact your Social Security decisions. If you're enjoying this video so far and you'd like to see additional videos about Social Security or reducing the taxes on your IRAs and 401ks, subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're coming out with new videos each and every week on topics just like that, and those to help you maximize your retirement story. Okay, let's get into the third factor, which is those cost of living adjustments. As I had mentioned earlier, once you make your Social Security decision, that's a lifetime decision. And the only increases that you're going to get on your Social Security from that point forward are what we call the COLAs, cost of living adjustments. Basically, it's an inflation to your Social Security that you get each and every year. As I had mentioned, today we put in a cost of living adjustment of 2.5% annually. So again, what does that look like? Well, right now that means the difference between age 62 and if you're to take it as early as age 62 or wait till age 70, we've got a break-even age of age 78. That's when again, if you're going to live past age 78, it makes sense then to wait till age 70 to take your Social Security. From a cumulative standpoint, again, living till age 95 here, you're looking at $609,000 more waiting till age 70 versus taking it at age 62. Now you might be looking at this going, but wait a second, hey, the cost of living adjustment's 2.5%. What if it was less and what if it was more? And I just want to show you how it impacts those numbers. So let's start with what if the cost of living adjustment was only 1% in comparison to the 2.5% that I had put in. So what does that look like? Well, take a look at our chart here. Now the break-even point becomes age 79 because we're not getting as much of an increase on the Social Security. And the difference in how much you'd accumulate, again, if Jim Sample here lived to age 95, remember this number before, it was around 600 and some thousand. Well, now it's only 397,000. That difference of if he would have waited till age 70 versus taking it at age 62 and lived all the way till age 95. So now we're going to take a look at if the cost of living adjustments were 4% year over year over year. And if we take a look at that, looking at our chart here, our break-even age actually drops lower because we're getting more of a bump on our Social Security. So the break-even age now becomes age 77. The age that if Jim were to live past age 77, it makes more sense for him to start taking his Social Security at age 70. And from a cumulative standpoint, how much more money would he get throughout his lifetime of living till age 95. Look at this, way more because of those cost of living adjustments, $912,000. So I bring this up just to show you how those cost of living adjustments can make an impact on Social Security. From a break-even age standpoint, well, there's 77, 78, or 79. Not a huge impact there, but from a cumulative dollar standpoint, if you're to live into your 80s or into your 90s, as you can see, it can make a huge impact in how much money you might have coming in throughout your lifetime. So lots of factors to consider. Longevity, how much you've saved up, the cost of living adjustments. I feel like recently I went into the paint store. We were trying to paint a wall in our office here, a color blue. And as I sat in the paint store there, and the last time you've been to the paint store, right, there are hundreds and hundreds of options of blue. And I'm just sitting there overwhelmed, super confused, wondering what's going to be the right blue color for our office. And all I wish is that I had a designer to just pick the right color for us. And you see, that's what an income plan helps you do. Putting together an income plan helps take all of those options, when to start the investment withdrawals, all of the different Social Security factors, and it brings them together and helps narrow it down into the right choices for you. And if you're wondering what an income plan is or how it works or how it could potentially benefit you, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can go to lifemoneyshow.com and click on the Work With Us tab. All right, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. You found a lot of value and benefit in it. If so, like I mentioned earlier, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got new videos coming out each and every week that are gonna help you on retirement topics like Social Security, like taxes on your IRAs and 401ks and how to reduce them, and other retirement topics just like those. So subscribe, that way you get notified when we come out with those new videos. Thanks, and have a great day.